Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be
Welcome to Tales from the Field. We are back and better than ever. Almost a month since we have been together. Whew. A lot has happened. We've had live streams for Live 360, live streams with the Postgres product group, live streams with the Microsoft Fabric product group. We've had storms, we've had hurricanes. We lost Dan. Dan was here. I swear. Dan is going to be here on the show. He has power. He is here with us. But for some reason, not here on the screen. There is so much to do. We're going to have video content dropping tomorrow. I have edited this and it is mostly good to go. And I'm very excited to have a new video out. So much to do, so much to see. You don't want to miss a thing. If this is your first time making it over to Tales from the Field, give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Today is the Tuesday. So it is the Azure Data Community Roundtable, and you are in the right place if you are watching us. So want to interact with the show, it is so easy to do so. All you have to do, there's Dan. We're looking at his ear. We're at this crazy inverted place. Good to have you, buddy. If you want to interact with the show, it is so easy to do so. All you have to do is make a comment on the stream, and one of my amazing co-hosts is going to, Josh, come on, the banner, right?
I always pop up the Twitter banner when you're talking about interacting with the show.
I know. Well, one of my amazing co-hosts will see we'll see your comments. They will add them to the stream, and you will be a part of the show. And of course, before we go any further, let me introduce my amazing co-host. I am joined by the man in the hat back from Sandals down in Jamaica himself, Mr. Josh Luedeman. The best beard in the business, Mr. Andreas Padilla, and our own Robin Hood, Marco Aurelio Cardoso, and Daniel Tiller, the mountain man, and hitting harder than Patrick Mahomes, laying out a defensive back to make a touchdown. It's your friend of mine, Neeraj Jhaveri. Andreas, talk to me, Goose. I know we've got a quick call to action. We're going to do this, but you saw that hit that Mahomes laid down over the weekend on the D-back. When he was running across that goal line, he was standing straight up. I was like, oh my God, this is where he gets hit and he is out for the season. And he just laid that guy down. I mean, he hit him high. I couldn't believe it. Like, knocked him down and then looked at him. He looked at him because the heels of the guy actually came over and hit Mahomes in the back. Like, what are you doing, man? Hitting me twice? Hit him so hard, he just tumbled. Did you see that?
I saw it, and I don't know if I forgot if it was on 60 Minutes or on ESPN. There was a special on Mahomes, and I believe it was 60 Minutes on his success. You should watch that. Google it, Bing it. His strength training regime is ridiculous, but he concentrates a lot more on his flexibility and his ability to like bounce off of players. Plus, the strength training gives him the ability to like have that Messi like clown effect where you just bounce back easily. Mahomes' training regime is really out of this world.
That could explain that hit, because that hit was out of this world. I think that was one of the best hits I saw this weekend on football. I think it was the number 2 top play, but in my opinion, it should have been number 1 on SportsCenter. Josh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and just to be clear, Brad said D back as in defensive back, because for a second there, I thought you said D bag, and I wanted to make sure. We don't know if this defensive back is a D bag or not. He could be a D bag, but it was D back, defensive back. There you go.
That's a very important point, and I appreciate you making that, because you're right. I don't know that gentleman, but he is forever a part of Patrick Mahomes' highlight reel, and probably first part of his first ballot Hall of Famer. Quick call to action. You are here because you're part of the Azure Data Community. We want you to join the Azure Data Community. Head over to Microsoft.com, where the Azure Data Community lives. Find a user group near you. Many of us have been active in the data community for quite some time, and going to user groups are a very important experience, and it's a way to be able to connect with your local community. But once you go to your local user group, what do we want you to do? We want you to go get some free training at SQLSaturday.com. The site is yet to be updated. We just had SQL Saturday Orlando this past weekend. What a wonderful experience. It was pushed because of the hurricane, but myself and Bradley Schatt were there, and we had a great time meeting with people, wonderful time engaging with them, talking about Microsoft Fabric, but also talking about Tales from the Field, and giving in our first Tales from the Field live panel ever at a SQL Saturday event. That was a lot of fun. Next up, where do you go to get even more free training? Well, you can head over to Data Saturday. As you can see, we've got Data Saturday events set for Parma, Madrid, Slovenia, Austria, Denmark, Croatia. You want to make sure and check those out going well into 2025. It is a wonderful place to be able to find that free training outside of SQL Saturday. And one last thing, if you are a fabricator like I am and you want some Microsoft Fabric knowledge, come over and join our LinkedIn group, Microsoft Fabric Learning. We've got over 3,000 people who are in here contributing to this. And this is a wonderful way to be able to help us find your content. Some of the great content we are covering today on the show, we found, and those links were shared in there. All right.
And we're all fabricators.
I would normally toss it to Andreas, but absolutely. I did that, and I did that first so I could toss it to Josh, because Mr. Josh Luedeman had a birthday this last week. He also had a wedding anniversary, and his wonderful wife, Lisa, also had a birthday as well. So happy belated birthday to you, Josh, and belated birthday to Lisa, and happy anniversary. And I found that hat for you when I was on my cruise last December. But I loved seeing pictures of you sitting on the beach in Jamaica with that hat on. Talk to us a little bit. How was your experience?
Oh, it was a great experience. We went to the Sandals Resort in Montego Bay. Had a great time sitting by the pool or by the ocean. They have a nice coral reef there, so the waves weren't crazy. And actually, our last day there on my birthday, we took a bus tour of the local area of Jamaica. So got outside the manicured resort to actually see the country. It was a beautiful experience. Recommend it for everybody.
Fantastic. Yes, I am so excited about that. Oh, go ahead, Dan. And Dan muted himself, and he's not talking. Dan?
Sorry, I didn't want to. I may have a little delay on my side. I apologize. Yeah, and the food looked delicious. The question is, Josh, did you end up getting that 3 a.m. omelet?
Not 3 a.m. I got it at 8 a.m. the first day.
Okay. All right.
I put out the door hanger the night before, and I was like, I want breakfast, and I want coffee, and I want juice, and I want this omelet with these things just to see if it would happen. And you know what? It happened.
It was a well-deserved break.
It's good enough. Honestly, I was in bed by 10 o'clock every night.
It sounds like a magic door.
Oh, yeah. It was restful as hell.
The last time I went to Sue and I went on a cruise, we came back, and I told the kids that they really needed to step up their ground game. When they did the chores around the house, I didn't see any towels that were folded into the shapes of animals on the bed. There were no fresh baked cookies afterwards. Not once did we get a note from the captain thanking us for being there. And I was just overwhelmed by disappointment in their skills. So they needed to step it up a little bit. All right. Speaking of stepping it up a little bit, let's go ahead and step it up with a man who always brings some high level content. And you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri, optimizing Spark Compute for medallion architectures in Microsoft Fabric. What do we got going on here, Neeraj?
So a great article by Santosh. First, he explains out what is medallion architecture. I mean, I know most of the people out there knows what's medallion architecture: bronze, silver, gold. For people who don't know, bronze is your raw layer, silver is your filter clean layer, and the gold is your business layer where people put their data in there. One of the biggest questions that everybody were asking was, how do I optimize it up? And Santosh right now gives you a very good breakdown on how to optimize. Like bronze is where you are writing things. So he's showing you how to make it more right optimized, use a command like a spark.sql. He just puts down a command in there. On the silver layer, he's just putting out, which is more like read writes, and we do a lot of sortings and v orders in there. He's giving you how to disable the v orders and then prioritize the performance in the silver layer. And the gold layer is where you really are doing a lot of compute in there. He puts down the ways to do it, optimize the gold layer in there. So 3 different layers, 3 different ways to optimize your Spark cluster, and he's giving you commands right there, showing you how to do that. So definitely something that would help you out.
I absolutely love it. And one of the things that I think is great about this is that people, as we've gotten more and more into these lake houses, and people have multiple different lake houses for different environments, it's really key to make sure that you understand how you're actually going to optimize those environments for ingestion and for processing. So great stuff. Speaking of great, the man with the best Twitter handle in all of Twitter is Sandeep Pawar, Mr. Pawar BI, and he's got the wonderful blog Unstructured to Structured, extracting a list of Fabric APIs using LLMs. And one of the things that he's doing is he's doing this. This is the beginning of a series specifically to be able to show how he can take a look using Semantic Link and Semantic Labs or Gemini to be able to pull back data from LLMs and have it in a nice formatted way. I'm actually going to be doing a video very soon on a blog that he had put together that utilizes some of the same functionality, but he puts in here specifically how you parse the text, how to be able to extract the information from the prompt, how to be able to access the large language model and then get the LLM response, and then creating a data frame that'll be good for any result that it brings back, and then actually taking this and then presenting it in a data frame. Now, the really nice thing is once it's a data frame, if you need to, you could also write that output to a table within your lakehouse very easily. So that way you can store the data as a part of this. So very excited that Sandeep has covered this. This is some wonderful stuff that I think is very important for people to be able to know how to be able to parse this output and take that JSON syntax and make it presentable in a more tabular format so people can digest it. And speaking of something that's, absolutely amazing and definitely in the right format, I'm talking about content brought together by the one, the only, the mountain man, Mr. Daniel Taylor, by the blog Mr. Data, choosing between a Fabric Lakehouse or a warehouse. Dan, what do we got here?
Yeah, Marcus Verdu. I saw him recommended by one of our friends out there on LinkedIn in the Fabric user group. And you all know I like the essentials. I like the basics.
Hey Dan,
right?
I'm gonna stop you real quick because somebody's definitely weed eating over there, and I don't know why it's not filtering out through yours. If it's okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna skip the order, and we're gonna come back to you if that's all right. I'm gonna throw you a little bit after Josh's, and I'm just double checking that I've got this right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go next to Mr. Andreas Padilla, the best beard in the business. And Andreas, we have building an AI application that leverages your data object in storage on the Microsoft Build network. What have we got going on here?
Oh, this is a great video. It's back in May. And, I keep coming back to these great sessions that we had back at Build in May. And this one's been in my list of videos that I've been wanting to share out with the community. And it's from Vamshi and Saurabh, great colleagues of ours from the storage team. They know more about object storage than I think any person alive on Earth, these two. What I love about these videos is that they show a couple of things. But first and foremost, how ingrained and intertwined blob storage is in everything we do in Azure. It's at the DNA, it's at the heart of everything. And in Gen AI, you're going to have a ton of data that needs to be either processed, Gen AI-ified, vectorized. And what they show us in this video is, one, the benefits of using blob storage for your Gen AI applications. When it comes to, you're going to get a lot of benefits from scalability. It's cost effective. It's faster than any other platform out there when it comes to retrieving and getting puts and inserts and upserts into a blob storage account than any other product out there. But what I really love, the golden nugget, is how they showed in the video how to integrate vectorization with multiple vector indexes in a Gen AI Azure in the Azure search index, and then using change feeds to see what folders have changed, and then going back and using that change feed to say, hey, wow, these folders changed, these files changed, go and update the index and re-index my whole process, and doing that all automatically. this inner circle of managing your vector databases is something that when it comes to RAG patterns, you're going to have to do. They're showing us how to do it fast and automated. And that's it. That's my spiel. Thank you.
Fantastic stuff. I absolutely love it. Yeah. Thank you so much. All right. So, of course, with that, we're talking about AI, and I'm going to go to the man who typically gives me the longest title that we have on any post that we have. And boy, has he got a doozy this time around. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Robin Hood himself, Mr. Marco Cardoso. The AI search October update, nearly 100x compression with minimal quality loss. Glad I got that out in one breath. Nothing compressed about that title. Marco, what do we got going on here?
Yeah, so besides the very large title, one thing that really caught my eye about this article is, something that, we're all excited about AI, and we get more and more impressive stuff coming out each day. It seems that all of a sudden it's okay to throw hundreds of GPUs at very simple workloads, right? We have larger and larger models. They're becoming more complex while they're becoming more capable. That also translates into more cost, more storage that we need to add to these things, more time, more money. It's growing exponentially with regards to all of these things. So this is a blog about optimizing the workloads that we already have, specifically with regards to search. Now, this MRL support, what is that? If you're not familiar with that, Matryoshka are those real, Russian dolls that come out of one another, and they become smaller and smaller, but with all the details.
Yeah, the Destiny dolls.
Yeah, and that's what this feature is all about. It's vector representations that support using smaller versions of themselves to create algorithms that do the same thing, that have very minimal quality loss, but still, fit in much smaller infrastructure, much smaller GPUs, and so on. So this blog brings us comparisons of this new compression algorithm, how much compression we get and how much quality we lose. And it turns out we lose very small amounts of performance, like in the realms of 1%, whereas the compression rates gets to as high as 96 times. So we're spending 1% of the infrastructure, and we're getting 99% of the performance. Now, all of that is very hard to quantify. We have a ton of papers to go with that. But what that means in terms of what we get is a much cheaper service, a much faster service, and very minimal quality loss. The blog also covers a few new features for AI search. I am very certain that Ignite is going to bring us a lot more announcements, but I'm excited to see that we're taking care of this optimization piece and not just worrying about performance at this point.
Absolutely, that is great stuff. And that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying, as we're getting these larger models, as we're evolving these things, it's going to take more memory. It's going to take more compute. As you need more resources, it's going to be more expensive. So all those things combined together, when you think about that, being able to compress a model so your footprint is smaller, it's not only going to save hosting companies money, it's going to save you, the consumer, money, because we can do more with less. And if it's not affecting the precision in a vast way, well, I mean, that's just fantastic. Then let's compress all the things. So speaking of wonderful things that are coming out of technology and changes, we've got some new amazing things coming out. We had a product group on for a live stream recently, and there's only one man who can deliver this, and this is the man in the hat, Mr. Josh Luedeman, and it's the September 2024 recap for Azure Postgres Flexible Server. Josh, what is the recap? What do we got going on here?
So there's a lot of new features that the Postgres team has brought out in this September 2024, and you'd think that we put a lot of effort into the production value of this show to stream this much compression of AI and vectors into just seemingly one after another, but we didn't. This just happened to work out well. The Postgres team has in preview a new vector indexing algorithm called Disk ANN that came out of Microsoft, started out in Microsoft Research. That is now in preview and Azure Database for Postgres, flexible server, which will, basically allows you to scale past the RAM without sacrificing search speed. And actually it compresses the data down a lot easier or a lot more to enable better search capabilities with that as well. Other things that they've got going on, Postgres 17 is in preview, which, as far as I can remember, it feels like this is one of the faster times they brought out a new, version of Postgres into the service. So I was loving seeing that already. Fabric mirroring in private preview, added some new sources for the migration service with Azure Database for Postgres, including Amazon Aurora, Google Cloud SQL, the release and GA of auto migrations from single to flexible server. If you're still on single server somehow, there's an update to the Python SDK for interacting with the service, and then also automation tasks. So automation tasks are actually a really neat feature where you're able to, just do that, start doing some of, automating certain tasks. It even gives you some, templates to start with, including for your burstables, being able to stop and start the service. You can customize the frequency and timing, all that stuff. So a lot of great things come into the service that came to the service in that latest release.
Excellent. It's so fantastic. And you're right. When we had Varun on, we were talking about the release of Postgres 17, Josh. And one of the things he had specifically talked about was this was the fastest release that they've ever gotten out. And when it was within only a few weeks that they were able to have that out and available for customers to begin kicking the tires, reducing that time. Because I know one of the questions we get as we work with folks is, how long is it going to take for us to get access to this thing that's just been released for the latest version of open source? And we're getting better and better and better at this at Microsoft. And it was fantastic to see that.
Definitely.
Speaking of fantastic to see, it's always fantastic to see the mountain man, Mr. Daniel Tiller. We're going to do a take two and see how the lawn work is over with Dan. Dan, I'm going to let you unmute first, and I can see your face. Oh, no, I'm getting a signal. Do I need to push you?
So I apologize, folks. It wouldn't be anything without technical difficulties and the wrong mic hooking up. And there we go. Let's give it a take. If you can't hear them, but Marcus.
Oh, we can hear them.
Oh man, I apologize, folks.
That's okay.
It wouldn't be a new day without technical difficulties.
Yeah. So Dan, I'm gonna mute you one more time because we literally cannot hear you. You're getting drowned out so bad. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna push this down just a little bit. We'll see in a couple if we can get to you again. Worst case scenario, we will cover this by the end for you.
It's live, everybody. It's live.
I was gonna say, if you ever wondered, we do it live or is it pre-recorded? Oh yeah, it's live. No, Dan, no. We're just there's even a delay on the muting. Oh yeah. So the AI is definitely not filtering out the long sounds. Dan's giving up. Dan's walking away. And as Dan's doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it back to the only man who can save us all, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. Neeraj, announcing the enhanced tenant setting delegation for export controls in Microsoft Fabric. What do we got going on here?
That's the reason I think Dan is telling you should have a roundtable every week, because he kept forgetting it out, the whole setup that he had before. So that's what Dan is trying to tell us. Anyway, coming back
you know what? And that I was going to say that's very fair. It's been a while since we did a roundtable, but we have plans. Next week's going to be a roundtable. The week after is going to be a roundtable. The first of the month we will be doing the Fabric live stream, but I think until the end of the year we're only going to be doing Fabric live streams and Azure Data Community roundtables, because I know we all miss getting together and sharing the great work that's been done in the community. We've read a lot of blogs, we've seen a lot of announcements. We haven't been able to cover this, and it's something that we really miss. So we're gonna make sure that we don't take the break that we did, and we thank everybody for hanging on. Sorry, Neeraj, go ahead.
No problem. just the announcement for enhanced tenant settings. Delegation for control, exporting the controls in Microsoft Fabric was announced. Currently, if you have to export it out, it's on the tenant level. So anybody who's a Fabric tenant will only be able to toggle that button and make it okay, export to everything, but every workspace would automatically would get that up. What they are doing with this is they are enhancing the security just because they want to restrict on the workspace level, not on the tenant level. So that way, one benefit that you're going to get is if people don't want to export things on the other workspaces, it secures the data. Other thing is export to Excel. I mean, all this different types of exports have started coming in, Excel, CSVs, PDFs, PPTs. So these are all that is definitely needed. He also shows you how it works. So how to turn and turn off the Microsoft the workspace level settings. He walks you through the whole video of it to show you how to do it. So nicely written article by Varun, and he definitely shows you the setup how to do
Absolutely. And this is really, really great. Absolutely. And this is really, really great stuff because people have been wanting this at a granular level for quite some time. But the capability to be able to make it to where people have access to control this at the workspace level is absolutely huge. Because right now you set it for the tenant level and no one can access this regardless of where they are. Now you're going to be able to set it at the workspace level so you can actually test this. You can enable it for specific users, but you can also disable it, which is really, really key, especially when you're working in fields where the data may be very, very sensitive, like finance, healthcare, things of that nature. Really great stuff. Speaking of, and this is amazing, and I'm very excited about this. I have loved the AI skill that we got with Microsoft Fabric. And we are announcing the public preview of share feature for Fabric AI skills. Now, what this allows is this allows collaboration to occur with an AI skill. So I can share, and I can share at two levels. I can give you co-create and edit details where you can come in and you can edit and develop. Tenant level, tenant level. Yeah, Josh. Josh says I'm inventing words. Josh, you're not wrong. I'm inventing words all the time. But to be fair, all words had to be invented at some point in time. All words are made up words. So with this, you've got the capability to share, like I said, in two places, co-create and view configuration. For the view configuration, you can share this so people can see the configuration, see the way the skill is set up, but cannot edit it. And then you can also do a co-create so you can collaborate with people within your workspace to be able to give them the functionality to be able to streamline and edit this. I'm very excited for AI skills. And also, I want to call out that they are asking for our feedback down here at the bottom. Make sure that you fill out this form right here because they want to know how you envision using AI skills. Personally, I'd love the capability for this endpoint to be discoverable by an external service. So maybe we could use it as a chatbot, or we could use it with additional functionality outside of Microsoft Fabric, other than just being within Fabric notebooks. I think there's a lot of potential with this. And I'm very, very excited about the AI skills. It makes building those RAG patterns super, super easy. Okay, take three. Dan, we're going to see if we can do a twofer. If not, we're going to move you to the end. Go ahead. And I don't hear anything.
All right.
We may be safe, Dan.
So here we go. So that right there, that's taking this picture of me, is where my sound's going through. For some reason, my mic on my headset, y'all, I apologize so much. It's live though. So here we go. Storing files in your database, why you shouldn't and what you should do instead, by Joey D'Antoni. I love this article because I have this debate argument sometimes with developers and certain folks about storing large objects in databases. Joey goes through the 5 points as to why we shouldn't be storing these large objects within databases, the implications of that, and then he gives this sample code. And he said, I love that he's so humble and he shares that, hey, maybe we shouldn't use this code, but my favorite one here is it makes your database huge, right? I mean, even if you use a var binary max, it's going to blow out your memory, and then your page life expectancy is gone. And then he shares some C# code here that I was playing with a little bit that I need to figure out getting working. But what I love about Joey is he's like, don't use this in production. It's just a sample. to show you how to do it, because the recommendation, folks, and my recommendation typically is if you gotta work with large objects, store them in an Amazon bucket, store them in blob storage. Joey goes through that here, and put the pointers inside the table of your database, not actually within your database. So great article by Joey here.
All right. Well, they're starting to come back around, but Dan, I'm going to try and hit you real quick. This was your first article that you had for us, choosing between a fabric lake house or a warehouse. Go ahead and give it to us.
And that's the helicopters apparently coming to take me away, because they're Black Ops helicopters. All right, so I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So Marcus Redu here, choosing between a fabric lake house or a warehouse, gives the similarities, right? Where they're both performant, they're both scalable, both have data in one lake and Delta format, but then he goes through the differences here. The reason why I love this article, the reason why this article spoke to me, is a lot of you know that I like understanding the basics, the foundations of things, because that's how we learn, right? If we jump into the deep end always, we're going to struggle. What Marcus helps us do here is understand the basics of why we would choose a warehouse versus a one leg, right? So he goes through primary capabilities, the developer profile, really laid out here. Then below this, he goes through a matrix of how to choose the different lake houses versus warehouses, and then goes through 3 scenarios, one using a lake house, one using a warehouse only, and then one using a lake house and a warehouse for your bronze, silver, and gold. And that's really important. And that goes back to the article that Neeraj shared earlier in this broadcast about understanding the bronze, silver, and gold. So kind of ties in really nicely. And thank you, y'all. I love you, listeners, for bearing with my microphone issues today. Yeah,
Absolutely. And Josh just said the helicopters are bringing the pretty white coats to pick up Dan. At least we know that Dan will be warm wherever they're taking him, because those jackets are thick.
Well, and the rubber in the rooms keeps you warm too. It's a good insulator.
There we go.
Okay.
Not to mention, kind of fun to be able to bounce off those walls. Yeah. No, we hear them, Dan. Don't worry. All right. So now that we've finally gotten Dan and we've gotten him to be able to present on his 2 things, one thing I want to remind everyone is that the links are in the description of the video. All the content that you're seeing today, if you want to know how to get to it, go check out the description of that video. Please check out the wonderful content by the creators who put this together. And with that, I'm going to a man who is a creator, and I love to see this man create. And you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Andreas Padilla. We've got this amazing GitHub, Talk to Your Factory, and implementation guide. Andreas, what do we got going on here?
Okay, let me jump into this. This is a great post and a gem of a post by Christophe Cremon. Thank you for putting this out there. For those of you who don't know, out on the World Wide Webs, there's a product that, from Azure, that's called Azure IoT Operations. It's built for the factory floor and for manufacturing industry. It can be applied in a number of factory floor scenarios. What we love about Azure IoT Operations, and like I said, is in public preview. I believe there's going to be some great announcements at Ignite. If you guys are watching Airlift right now, they're doing a ton of sessions on this whole environment and solution. Why do we love Azure IoT Operations? Because it can do a lot for us in getting us insight, interconnecting our device health, and interconnecting our devices on our factory floor, getting data insights and analytics from our factory floor, helping us create efficiency, seeing if there's any business performance bottom line information that I can extract from maybe my production line. Or is there any maintenance that I need to do, any real-time decision making? All of that's injected and can come out from Azure IoT Operations. What Christophe does here is he shows us how to not only deploy this into a Kubernetes environment, then he shows us how to simulate certain types of transactions. And right now what he uses is the production line for batteries in a car factory. and he shows us how to extract information from that battery production line. And then he shows us how to take all of that and inject it into a medallion architecture, get insights from the edge on our factory floor, then import it into a gold layer in Fabric. That's the one component of it. Then he shows us how to take Gen AI and do the Gen AI on the factory floor and in order to get real-time insights to what's going on operationalized from an operational standpoint from the factory floor. This is going to save anybody that's in industry, manufacturing, anybody that manages a factory floor. Is going to help you not only get better insights from your data, inject it into Fabric, and put Gen AI right there in disconnected scenarios. He does it really nicely through some YAML templates. I love it. It's step by step. It's easy to understand. He gives you a semantic kernel application to put the Gen AI right there on your factory floor. One-stop shop. I love the key turnkey solution he has here.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it that it's storing it in Fabric too. What an amazing solution. Speaking of amazing, I think this is the longest title that we have this week. Somebody's going to have to fact check me if they want to prove me wrong. But it comes from the one and the only, Mr. Robin Hood himself. From zero to hero, building your first voice bot with GPT-4o real-time API using Python. It took practice to get that in one breath. Marco, tell me what we got here. Oh, you're on mute. There we go. Josh didn't do it. Marco, you're talking on mute. That was you.
That's my bad.
Goes in the jar.
I'll blame the mute button. I'll say it was delayed. Anyway, so this is all about the new API from OpenAI. This is the real-time voice API, which is voice in, voice out. So now instead of having to transcribe, then send text to a model, then take that text and send it to a text-to-speech model, we are shortcutting everything, and we have a single website.
Oh, is it just me?
Yeah, okay. This is going to go down.
It was me for a second.
The AI said, shut down Marco. The AI said, stop telling our secrets.
There's Marco.
I know they said. There we go.
Oh, Lord.
We've got two Marcos. No, now we have one Marco. Okay. No, you're all right. We all agreed. We put on Dan's tinfoil hat and we decided the AIs were trying to shut you down.
Yep, I might be an alien too. You won't know until later. So I don't know where I lost you, but I was just telling you about this new API. So this is a new API that allows you to send audio up and then audio down. That means we get a whole new set of features that we can use in our AI applications, especially chatbots. Things like interrupting a chatbot mid-speech. You can just start talking whenever you're ready. You can add your emotion to what you're saying. You can get emotion out of AI. So I'm really excited about this. It's still in preview, but it opens up a whole new set of possibilities. And it makes some of what we saw OpenAI demo before possible. So now we can do the same stuff that they did in their demos. And I'm really excited to test that out. Sorry about that.
No. This is great, and I got to tell you, I'm very excited about it. Dan said he wished he had his tinfoil hat handy. You would let us know that AI makes us weird, and suddenly we're chatting with everything. Josh said Skynet is becoming aware it got Marco. I think we got him back though, Josh. Thank goodness. Dan said emotion is kind of scary, and I said I'm here for emotional AI. I'm just here for emotional support for AI. We'll see how that works out. All right. Now talk about working out. This worked out perfectly because last we saved the best for last. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. The man in the hat, the man from Jamaica, tan, but not burnt. It is the one and only Mr. Josh Luedeman closing us down with common solutions, common challenges and solutions for Azure OpenAI adoption. I made that the longest title by messing it up in there. Josh, what have we got? Tell me about these challenges and solutions.
A W by formality is still a W. I will take it. Thank you, everyone. No, this is a great article because for folks looking to, still haven't adopted Azure OpenAI, he actually walks through a lot of the design. He talks about landing zone in here. Luke has a great article, and it gets into disabling inference in Azure AI Studio, why you would want to do that, end-to-end observability, and even talks about, being able to protect confidential information, and how you can do that with Azure OpenAI. So it's a great article from end to end. Even talks about, top 10 OWASPs, top 10 threats, and, protecting yourself from those. So a lot of great stuff in here. I trying intentionally not to give away too much because I want folks to go out and read it. It's something that, you really should get into, especially if you haven't fully, gotten into adopting OpenAI, but thinking about it. There's a lot of good nuggets in here that everyone should read.
No, this is fantastic stuff. As a matter of fact, I've got a customer that I'm working with, and I've talked with Marco about it, but I think this would be a wonderful article for them. I'm going to be sending it to them after we finish this broadcast. That was wonderful stuff, Josh. All right. So we are at the end of the show. So real quick, we only have one thing left. There was that video I made earlier in the year where I said we've got all these different speaking engagements that we've got through the year. Well, we just have one left. We've got Live 360 coming up in November. And Josh, give it to me quickly. Tell me where we're going to be.
Oh my God, we're going to be on the beautiful grounds of Universal Studios Orlando at the lovely manicured Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort and Conference Center in sunny Orlando, Florida.
It's the only place that you want to be at. Live 360. You're going to have a pre-con on Sunday, hands-on, with myself, with Josh Luedeman, with Daniel Taylor, with Neeraj Jhaveri, with Buck Woody, with Bradley Schatt. I mean, come on. That lineup as a panel just to be able to talk to us all day long, let alone learn Microsoft Fabric and get some hands-on experience. Then on Monday, myself, Mr. Thomas LaRock, and the star of the show, Mr. Daniel Taylor, will be giving you a full day of performance tuning your Azure SQL environment using Database Watcher and Microsoft Fabric. You're not going to want to miss out on that. Then we get to the mainstay of the conference, Tuesday through Thursday, and the week ends, if you're interested, with Davide Mari doing a SQL AI workshop. That's going to be absolutely amazing. Can't wait for it. I mean, we got Voodoo Donuts with the maple bacon donut. We've got wonderful restaurants. We've got the theme park sitting right there. We've got the dessert luau on Wednesday, the Birds of the Feather luncheon also on Wednesday. And then we've got so many wonderful chances to be able to meet us, talk with us. And it's just going to be a great time. Gentlemen, anything else I'm forgetting?
Oysters.
Oh, oysters. Yes. Oh, we will be getting oysters. Sauce. There we go. All right. I love Szechuan sauce too. McDonald's, please bring it back. Okay. That's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. Be good to one another and take care out there. Goodbye, everybody.
You show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit because it's damn